Joining us now is Jason Isaac. He's the CEO and founder of the American Energy Institute. And boy, there's a lot to talk to you about, Jason. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, it's great to be on. Good morning.
Well, good morning. First of all, your impression right now of the aftermath of the removal of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. The president's announcement yesterday, 30 to 50 million barrels of oil now under U.S. control, and his demand that China and Russia get out of the business of dealing with Venezuela. I see nothing but good news here. What do you see? What are you concerned about?
Yeah, this is great for oil markets. It's great for economic stability, and it's great for the refineries in the Gulf Coast of the United States that process and refine this heavier crude. So we're not having to transport it across oceans to get it. We're just bringing it north from Venezuela. And that'll be great to rebuild Venezuela, who's now getting market prices. They're not getting influence from China. 8 in 10 barrels from Venezuela was going to China, who is paying cheaper prices for that. They're probably be exchanging intel, technology, other goods. But this was black market oil, and so it's coming out of the black market. That's good for the consumers, and it's good for oil markets.
So on a realistic level, when might we see changes in not just gas prices, but, I was saying earlier, it trickles down to everything, to how much you pay for your groceries, everything. All of that is sort of predicated on gas prices. So when might we start to see the effects of this, and what would the effects look like?
Yeah, Bethany, I think you're going to continue to see lower prices at the pump, which is great for the consumers. You look, just a week ago, the national average of price of a gallon of gasoline that keeps getting reported with fuel taxes, that states fuel taxes, it was $2.54 a gallon without fuel taxes. So where you live and who you vote for matters. With prices over $5 a gallon in California, because they have the highest fuel taxes in the country. So I think consumers can expect to see that, and then you're going to start to see lower price of goods. 90% of the products that we use in our daily lives have petroleum products baked in them, whether it's what we're consuming, what we're wearing, what we're living in. So when you're getting supply from a closer location and paying good prices for it, that's where you're going to start to see the goods that we use on a daily basis come down in cost. So it shouldn't be too long now. Gas prices down, you'll see the other products coming down as well.
Well, and we already have reports that gas prices have hit a 5-year low, lowest since 2020. It's expected to fall on average below $3 a gallon, unless you live in Gavin Newsom's California, of course, where they don't worry about the market cost because they've laid in so many other costs on top of it. But what about specifically for the oil companies here in America? Because, sort of the phenomenon you're talking about, Jason Isaac, in a very smart way, of course, has to do with just sort of getting this oil back off the black market into the world markets. That's going to affect the price just because of supply and demand. But specifically, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, these companies built the oil industry in Venezuela. They now have the opportunity to get back. I understand they're meeting with the president later this week. What will it take for these companies to recommit to Venezuela? Because the future is still rather uncertain in terms of how stable that government's going to be and what the safety and security is going to look like.
Yeah, Larry, I think the Americans need to understand that a lot of these American oil and gas companies had been in business in Venezuela and had their assets seized. It's like building a house, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and steals your house, and you can't get your house back, and you can't get the money that you put back into that house. That's what's happened with billions of dollars to these oil and gas companies.
Jason, I think the more apt analogy is if you're an apartment building owner in New York City right now and you've got the new mayor coming in. Honestly,
yeah, that's a great analogy.
Marxism is Marxism, my friend. Yes,
yes, it is, and it hasn't worked out too well for Venezuela over the last several decades. But the companies that are going to look to reinvest in Venezuela are going to really need a credible reset of the rule of law. They need to make sure that their assets are protected. So they need safety and they need security, and they need to understand that contracts actually are valued in that country. And so I think they're going to need some assurances before they do that.
But Jason, I'm hearing safety and security assurances oftentimes in the past that has translated to mean American military providing that safety and security. Is that what the oil companies are looking for, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think what you're seeing now is because there aren't any troops on the ground in Venezuela now. They went in and they got this narco-terrorist who was holding the seats of power there. And so I think that's sending this message around the world. Look, China and Russia have been doing backroom deals with Venezuela, putting oil on the market. and really the shadow market, artificially lowering the cost of oil around the globe because you were taking suppliers out of the market. So that's going to level the market back to where it should be, or get closer to where it should be. Of course, Iran and Russia are still going to sell oil to China and use shadow fleets to get it to them.
Jason, could you also explain to me? I keep hearing about this, but and I nod along and act like I know what they're talking about. But this is why we get someone like you. And there's different kind of oil coming out of the ground from different parts of the planet. I'm told Russia oil is kind of dirty oil and takes a lot more to refine. You got your sweet crude. You've got your what kind of oil is the Venezuelan oil? We know they've got a lot of it, but is it the good stuff? Is it the stuff that we want and will be easily brought in and incorporated into the American economy?
Yes, it really is. It's a heavy crude that I think it's over 80% of the refineries in the Gulf Coast process and turn that into things like gasoline, diesel, propane, plastics, other goods that we consume on a daily basis and are really dependent on. So you're reducing that supply chain transportation cost by just bringing it in from Venezuela rather than the Middle East. Then we produce predominantly we produce this light sweet crude, which we export to other countries that have refining capacity for that. So this is certainly a global market, and we are certainly energy dominant and independent now, but we still export oil and we still import oil, and we primarily import this heavy crude oil that we're going to be able to get from Venezuela now.
So on Friday, the Trump administration and President Trump himself are planning on meeting with oil executives. What do you think the context of that conversation will be? What is going to be the ask from oil companies?
Well, I think the first thing is they're going to want billions of dollars that they've lost back. There's international courts that have had rulings for, I believe, about a decade now where Maduro and Chavez, they had stolen their assets, stolen all the equipment they put in. I mean, it's not easy and it's not inexpensive to build refineries and to build production facilities, and they had gone in and they had done that in those countries and then had their assets seized. And so I think they're going to want to see some financial reimbursements, and I think that's what this initial 30 to 50 million barrels per oil is getting them the money back that they are owed. Again, it's like having your apartment stolen right out from under your feet, and you don't even get the money back that you put into it. And so I think they're going to look to recoup that cost, to balance their books, to get back that American consumers were left on the hook paying for through higher energy costs. So I think that's probably the first thing they're going to look for, is to get reimbursed for the billions of dollars that they've left there in Venezuela.
Jason Isaac, CEO and founder of the American Energy Institute. There's a lot of smart guys in this town, Bethany, but Jason's one of my favorite kind of smart guys because he can make things sound simple enough for me to understand. And that's
not an easy task.
That's a real feat, Jason Isaac. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.